Hey everyone, and thanks for tuning in today to the Driven to Better podcast, where everyone you'll hear is driven to make business better. I'm your host, Justin Sisley, and on the show today is Jerry Tolochko, co-founder of Restrepo Leather. He's going to share with us his journey to entrepreneurship that has taken him outside the U.S. and back on a quest to create high-quality, handmade products. So stay tuned to hear about it. We've got a great show coming up. How you doing today, Jerry?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. Thanks for being here with us. We're looking forward to diving into your journey so you can share all the good tidbits with us and probably some of the bad ones too.
Absolutely.
So we'll start out just kind of learning a little about you. I guess let's start out with Restrepo Leather. Give us kind of your elevator pitch on what you guys do.
So we're a small fashion company. We sell strictly handmade leather goods. All of our products, again, when I say strictly handmade, I mean each stitch is first poked with an awl. Then you got a guy with 2 needles or 1 needle as the stitch may be, sewing it together. All the leather's cut by hand. All the edges are hand finished. Some of these products can take up to 30, 40 hours of active labor to make.
Wow.
So, part work of art, part practical good. And I really believe that a strictly handmade product is different. There's just a certain amount of the love and care and time that goes into making them that gets captured in the final piece.
Yeah. So how long have you actually been an entrepreneur?
It all started when my wife and I moved to Bogota, Colombia about 4 years ago. We moved there without jobs, without knowing anyone there, never having been to Bogota before. And a couple months into our time there, we stumbled across this workshop down the street, this leather workshop, and we both started taking classes with the man who runs it, Cesar. And I especially just really fell in love with the craft. And I stayed there for about 6 months, taking classes, doing some small jobs on the side, getting better with the craft, making new pieces, working up from a wallet to a device case to a briefcase. And when we both ended up getting day jobs, we really decided to pursue this idea we'd been kicking around to help the workshop grow by bringing their products to the U.S. And we realized that the only way to make that happen would be to do it our way, to start up a business, do it right with our own website, good product shots, that the workshop, while they made beautiful goods, just didn't have the expertise and knowledge to go it completely alone. And that's when I became an entrepreneur. Moonlight at first and now full time. Okay. So you said that was about 4 years ago? That was about 4 years ago. Okay. And that was your first go at it then? That was the first time I've ever started up. It was the first time I've ever done anything artistic. Forget, being an entrepreneur. Okay. Wow. So you dove into both worlds at the same time. Head first. All right. So how long were you doing it on the side before you decided that this was going to be a full-time gig? So it was about 2.5 years. And the moment at which it went from being on the side to full-time was pretty clear. About this time last year, we found out we were going to be featured in GQ's Best Stuff of 2013 list.
Wow.
And, we had some hopes going into it that it would be good, but we didn't appreciate that it could really transform our business overnight. In 1 week, we sold more than we'd ever sold in the year and a half leading up to it. It took off. When we started it out, we had this belief that we had a superior product for a superior price. We just need to find the right people who do spend $650 on a briefcase. Maybe not a lot of our peer group in Bogota was that target demographic, but we knew they were out there. It was just a matter of getting the product to market and reaching that audience. And through GQ, this one hit, things really changed overnight. And just the time it required to fulfill all the orders by default made it a full-time job. Okay, literally an overnight decision.
Mm-hmm. What did you guys have to do to get that recognition from GQ? Was that a contest you won, or was that...
We got lucky. We got really lucky. I was, working on a wallet one day, and I get an email from someone with a Condé Nast email saying, hey, we're putting together our best stuff of the year list, and somehow I thought of you guys. Could you mail us this bag and get it here within a week? And so, after doing some research, making sure it wasn't a scam, communicate with him, send him off the bag. All the editors loved our product, and we ended up being selected. And one of the things we've learned in the year since then is that lightning struck then, and it isn't going to strike again. To get those kinds of stuff, normally you need to work a lot and spend some money, and that's what we're doing now.
Yeah. If you don't mind, will you take us back to that day when you really just started, you decided to start this as your business? Did you have to approach the man that you were working under? What was his name again?
Yeah, so his name is Cesar. Cesar is one of the most incredible, inspirational people I've ever met in my life. He's a Renaissance man. I mean, he studied philosophy in college. He had a series of kind of fashion boutiques in a different city in Bogota and didn't like what was going on with his life, learned leatherworking, and has devoted himself to the craft ever since. He's taught himself English and French and Italian and speaks Spanish, of course. And he's a truly, truly gifted designer. So we'd been talking with him about, hey, we've got to get your stuff to the U.S. and he was all about it, but he knew that he couldn't handle answering emails in English, for example. And when we looked into the logistics of setting up a PayPal account, it wouldn't work. Okay. So we talked with him about what we wanted to do, and the workshop in Bogota right now does all of our production. They do most of our designs are their designs, and that said, it's the relationship is really a lot more than just a traditional supplier and merchant relationship. Yep. I've taught them Excel and how to implement processes for production monitoring and for tracking all sorts of other information about what's being sold. So it's really a two-way street in terms of these amazing products that they produce for us, and also the knowledge and know-how that we give back to them. And in addition to that, it's also a relationship built upon trust and friendship. Yep. First and foremost, Cesar is a friend to myself and to my wife, Robin.
Yep.
And without that, none of this would have been possible.
That is an amazing beginning.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Wow. Yeah, so, I mean, it sounds like almost a friendship that led to a joint venture that is now, mutually beneficial to both parties, and it sounds like it's only headed in a positive direction. We hope.
I mean, there've definitely been some struggles along the way. So
well, yeah. Why don't we, before we get too positive here, I'll be the I'll be the guy that brings it back down. It's very important in any entrepreneur's life. I believe, and I know a lot of people do as well, that you learn more from the failures than you do from the successes. And every entrepreneur finds themselves with at least one failure. Most of the time it's quite a few. So can you take us to, maybe a big struggle you had setting up the business or early on in the business? Is there one kind of failure moment that something just didn't work and that sticks out in your mind that you can tell us about?
So less than moments, it's really more been kind of trends that have really stuck out to me. So one of the big ones was just a lack of community in Bogota. Now, we have the workshop, we have myself, my wife, who are working on this, but we really weren't able to tap into any kind of a larger, like-minded community of entrepreneurs, designers, fashion companies. It wasn't there, and we suffered from the lack of it. A lot of businesses get started and grow through this kind of collaborative sharing of ideas, and you can plug someone else's venture and then they'll like what you're offering and buy some of your products. And because we were targeting the US with our goods, we had nothing to tap into, and that was really tough. And learning from that lesson is one of the reasons why here in Madison I joined 100 State, starting getting involved here, was because I knew And I know that I need a community in order for this to thrive. We can't just do this in isolation. And then the other big lesson has been the importance of PR. So our model is such that in order to keep our prices where they are, we can't sell wholesale. We can't sell through boutiques. The margins just aren't there. So the most efficient way to reach our target customers is through press. And without a community in order to get those press hits, you can try to do it yourself and send hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of emails and send phone calls to people, and we've gotten almost no return from that.
Wow.
So from that struggle, we've learned the lesson of hiring a PR company. We started 2 weeks ago, and I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay, sounds good. Well, yeah, and you bring up a good point. I mean, especially in a product business, I myself have a product business, and you run the line of, okay, we're not getting a whole lot of sales, and then the thought crosses your mind, oh, drop the price and you'll sell more. In this case, it's not an option. You almost devalue your product by dropping the price. So it's important to find that out as soon as you can and kind of stick to your guns on it. The back of your head is going to tell you, hey, just drop the price a little bit, see what happens. But it's definitely important, especially in a handmade quality product like this. I'm looking at your Cali bifold wallet here is $125. That's not a cheap wallet, but that's the price you pay for quality. And you're right, you have to get, rather than trying to just reach the masses and show them, hey, we've got a product, here's the price, you need to build up the quality of that product in your buyer's mind
and justify it. At the same time, there's also the flip side. One of the pressures we've been resisting a lot is doubling our prices or tripling our prices. If you look at, especially with the bags, we're more than just products. We're also a brand and the story that goes with that. And if we were interested in selling in boutiques, that's what we would have to do. That's the normal way a company like ours grows. Is you can't. It's very difficult to sell exclusively through your website directly to customers with a product that people want to touch, they want to feel, and that's a challenge we wrestle with every day. But if we wanted to go the boutique route, we would have to double our prices, and then you're just playing the luxury game. Your people are buying it because it's not $100 wallet, it's a $300 wallet, and you put in these small things, and it's all about the cachet that brings, and you're really talking about a very different clientele, one that I don't want to restrict myself to. I like that we're able to bring an incredibly superior and personalized product while still at a high price point. We're not talking about $2,000 for a briefcase. It's something that people can aspire to and buy.
Yeah, you're not out there to compete with the Guccis and the Louis Vuittons of the world. So it's definitely important that you found that niche. But is that kind of the struggle you have going forward, the PR and getting your name out there? Is that what you're struggling with most, or is there something else that's even tougher for you right now?
Hey everyone, thanks again for listening. I want to break in quickly just to give a quick shout out and thank you to our sponsors, starting with MadisonInAbox.com. It's the perfect gift for anyone with a connection to the great city that I call home. Someone who used to live here, is a university alum, or maybe just someone who would appreciate a taste of our local culture. Send friends, family, and loved ones the gift of Madison in a box. Head over to MadisonInAbox.com to learn more about this unique gift idea. Our other sponsor for the show is Fruitera.co. Get ready to blend organic smoothies in under 30 seconds. And the best part is they're shipped right to your door. There's several flavors to choose from, so head over to Fruitera.co to learn more. And while you're there, drop them an email. Say, hey, thanks for sponsoring the Driven to Better podcast. I really appreciate it. All right, back to the show.
That's been the biggest problem and struggle to drive all others. If you aren't selling, what are you doing? And with this kind of a product, it's very difficult to do direct sales. If we were in a different market, maybe we could go about it a bit differently. But with the model we've set up, press is the way we're going to reach our customers. The way we get press, as we've learned through the past 2.5 years, is we've got to try and go with the professionals.
Sure.
Okay.
It's got to be tough too, because you can't just send a dozen handbags to different bloggers and have them experience the product and then write about it to their audiences. Or maybe you could on the terms that they send the bag back.
That's something we in our experience, they don't send bags back, and that's something that's really difficult. Like again, our briefcase, for example, costs us to manufacture several $100s. Mm-hmm. Our margin, in the traditional fashion luxury market, the boutiques paying the final price in the store at most is a third of what you're paying. Mm-hmm. So the manufacturing, and you've got a buyer in between, and then you've got and the wholesaler. So maybe the actual manufacturing cost was 1/10 of what you're paying in the store.
Yeah.
For us, it's around half. And so for us to send something to a blogger who maybe or maybe not has reached a free bag, that's a really huge investment.
Yeah.
And another thing we've thought about is the idea of giveaways. You see, especially on all these blog sites, you want to make sure you're written about, because giving them a free product is no guarantee they're going to write about you.
No.
Do a giveaway. We're going to give away, a bag to, I don't know, whoever. You're going to do a drawing. But then what's the type of person you're attracting with that? Is that someone who's ultimately going to turn around and spend money on your product? Or is it just people who are interested in giveaways?
Yeah.
So striking the right balance there is hard.
Truly. Well, not to drag you down too much.
Oh, no.
Let's shift gears again.
Yeah.
We like to do that here. So tell us about something that is really, really rocking for your business right now. What's really doing well for you guys?
So we're really excited about some new products we're working on releasing. And I mentioned earlier, we are very fortunate to work with a truly gifted designer down in Bogota, Colombia. Mm-hmm. And he's just a fountain of new ideas and new designs. And we've got some exciting women's bags and men's bags coming down the pipeline. I think that a lot of times it's difficult to have new products and to stay innovative and to stay creative. That when you're starting out with one thing that you do well, to kind of recreate that magic and keep going can become hard.
Sure.
But I know that with the team we've got together, that's not a problem for us.
Nice. Do you guys do any traveling, say, to the leather markets in Italy or some of the other markets around the world to get ideas? Or like you said, your mentor is a fountain of ideas, and you may not need that.
So in terms of leather sourcing, all of our sourcing is from Colombia, the leather and the goat suede lining that we put on all of our bags. In terms of my own personal inspiration, my wife and we left Bogota with our now 9-month-old son on June 1st to move back to the U.S. and travel for us is very important. It's always a source of inspiration.
Sure.
So we decided to pack our stuff up in a 1999 minivan and drive from Atlanta west to L.A., north up into Seattle, and come around to Madison, Wisconsin the long way.
Wow.
So that 2-month road trip was really great, and it was very inspirational for me. We met up with a number of our clients around the country, some who were friends before we met up with them, and some who we're better friends with now. And that was really great for us to see people who are using our products in exciting ways and who have really gotten a lot of pleasure and joy from them.
Yeah, that's got to be really, really gratifying. On top of an exciting journey across the country and up and down and around.
It was fun. And to take, some photos of our products with the Grand Tetons as the background, or Highway 1. It was really a good time.
I need to ask, being in a product business myself, did you hire out the professional photography, or is this something you guys did yourself?
So when we started our business, we knew we couldn't just do it the two of us, moonlighting, that neither of us has the photography chops to do it ourselves. And we ended up hiring someone who's since become a close friend who took all of our photos, who made the video, who really was a jack of all trades. In addition to that, helping out everywhere she was needed. Her name was Avery, and she worked for us for about 6 months to help get the business off the ground. Since then, we've handled all of our own product photography with mixed results, and that's something we're debating right now about how to go forward. You know, with our setup in Bogota, we were able to get pretty consistently good product shots. But here in Madison, our apartment doesn't get the same lighting. We might need to get different equipment. And then model shots and that type of photography is something that's beyond me. So that's a very good question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at your website, and the photography looks great.
Thank you.
So, if there is a mixture of ones that you've done and ones that a professional did, I can't tell the difference. So, good for you guys.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to the final phase of the interview, which are more of quick questions, short answer, if you will. Starting out with, who would you consider your biggest inspiration, either in business or I guess in life in general?
I've really enjoyed following the activities of a brand based out of Nashville, Tennessee, Imogene and Willie. The way they communicate just really captures everything that they're about. I've really been impressed with the products they put out and the feel they give off in talking about them.
Okay. Well, we'll have to link to that in the show page so people can kind of see what you're talking about there and get some hands-on experience with it. Next question, if you suddenly had $100,000 to spend in your business, what would you use it for, and over a fairly short time horizon here?
I'd double our production team, invest in a bigger stock of leather and suede, invest in building up our buckle supply. Yeah.
So are you at a point now, so it sounds like you'd start out increasing the supply side. So are you at a point right now where that's your bottleneck? Is it supply can't keep up with demand, or?
So one of the things we learned from the experience of GQ, so I told you it transformed our business overnight. Mm-hmm. What that meant was sales, and I don't know if I've mentioned this yet, but all of our products are made to order.
Okay.
So we don't maintain an inventory of any of our bags. So overnight, our workshop all of a sudden had to start fulfilling more and more orders. This was during December and January, which is vacation season in Colombia, and it quickly became clear that the normal way of doing business with production wasn't going to handle it. We fulfilled all of our orders. It worked out. But the lesson learned was that we needed to increase our production capacity. Okay. That our existing team isn't enough to cope with future growth, and if we don't start dealing with that now and investing in it now, we won't be able to grow in the future.
Okay, good. That's a good lesson, and you're always walking that line between having too much almost invested in production. If the sales aren't there, it's kind of money wasted, or at least money not well spent at the time. So that's a struggle that anybody listening has to look forward to if you're doing some sort of physical product-based business. It's always a challenge. So we'll move on to a section that I really enjoy. I'm a huge reader. I'm always halfway through probably 3 different books at any given moment in my life. So I always like to find out what's a book that you have read that has inspired you the most in business or in life?
So in terms of books that have inspired me in business, I'm not a big business reader. I'm a big reader of The New Yorker. Okay. I love kind of that long format journalism. It's probably my favorite thing to read. My favorite book, I would have to say, is Roberto Bolaño's The Savage Detectives. Highly recommend it in Spanish and in English. Yeah, I'm a big reader, but I think it's more for inspiration and for pleasure than for lessons on business. You know, a lot of times, you know, some of the kind of more practical advice quickly becomes out of date or obsolete. So I use the internet as my biggest resource for that.
All right.
Good answer.
And what is one other tool or resource that you find in your business that you use more than most?
My hands. You know, everything is made by hand. So we've got different tools for different purposes, but ultimately, you know, you've got to get your hands dirty and do it yourself every single day to make it happen.
I suppose you kind of have to say that, given that your tagline on your website is strictly handmade.
Actually, Jerry, real quick, are you still involved in the actual physical production of the products?
So I do production for a couple products, for a variety of reasons. If you look at the Cartagena passport wallet on our website, that's one that I designed, and I still do production for that. Ultimately, we'll probably transition that down to Colombia, but I keep making stuff mostly as a hobby and also to try and come up with some new designs. Design isn't my forte, but it's something I'm working on developing, so you got to keep plugging away at it.
Absolutely. Yeah, Great. This is a neat looking wallet, passport wallet.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we've mentioned your website. I don't know if we actually said the URL. It's restrepoleather.com. That's restrepoleather.com. So those of you who want to check out some of these products we've been talking about and the great photography used to advertise them, take a look at restrepoleather.com. Jerry, if anybody wants to get a hold of you, ask you more questions about your business, or maybe they have some questions on your products, how can they get a hold of you best?
You can tweet at us at Restrepo Leather. You can contact me through our website. Look for us on Instagram, Restrepo Leather, Facebook, facebook.com/Restrepo Leather. Whichever medium works best for you, I'll write you back.
Thanks again for joining us today. If you like what you hear, head over to driventobetter.com. Check out the show notes where we'll have everything we talked about here today. You can just search the name of the guest or their company, and that should pop up for you. While you're there, consider joining our DTB Plus Club. If you're not sure what that is, some of our guests will come to us with special offers, giveaways, contests, or discounts for our audience. The only way to get these is to become a member of the DTB Plus Club. In addition to bi-weekly emails with these offers, you'll also get exclusive access to the Plus Club private Facebook page. This is a place where like-minded entrepreneurs and soon-to-be entrepreneurs gather and exchange ideas, tips, and advice. Our guests talk a lot about having a support community, and the DTB Plus Club is just that. The best part is it's absolutely free to join, so head over to driventobetter.com now and check it out. Thanks again. See you next time.